John Kelly, luckily for us, has written down an awful lot of his memories. This particular personal one is to do with his own father. They didn't speak an awful lot when they were working together, but now John has put the memories on paper. In the village of Lusk and its surroundings, Stokes Kelly had a special profile. He was a very lively man with bright eyes and a friendly face. He passed away in November 1991 at the good old age of 87. He figured prominently in the village tales of long ago. When he was young, he could dance with the best, play hurling, handball. He could cut firewood, make a hurley, drive a bus, and anything of a mechanical nature. He could tell a good yarn and was a good judge of a pint of Guinness. It was said that he could start a conversation, fan it into an argument, and when everyone was ready to fight, Stokes would walk away laughing. Kitty and he raised a family of 5 boys and 3 girls, beginning around 1933. He was a kindly man who would never punish by physical means. He loved children and dogs of all sorts. He contended that the best judge of human nature was a small child or a dog. Early in his marriage, he worked in Ennis's bakery and cycled the 10-mile journey to and fro. He knew a lot about local history and the webbing of family connection. These were very hard times. When the Second World War began, the English war effort needed workers to maximise its industrial output. Stokes and a number of other Lusk men were among the thousands of Irish who left home to earn a decent wage. The English industrial cities would benefit from the new Irish flavour. The homecomings at Christmas were a high point of excitement. The leave taking 2 weeks later would be torture. The tears, the fears, the uncertainties. There was a continued tug-of-war between the heart and the wallet. After a short period of years, Stokes and many others returned home. The English trade embargo and the war had ended. Irish agriculture had hopes of expansion and exporting. A measure of optimism was created. Stokes would take many jobs after this. Not many would last too long, and many were eventful. The trouble was his independence and not being able to suffer fools gladly. Most old-time mechanics were very independent and a bit cranky. Men like Simon Hoare, Bill Mungy and Paddy Dunphy, and others. To have a job then, you had to be a good worker. You might also need to lick ass and massage the ego of the powerful. Nobody owned Stokes. He disliked privilege. The reverence of the time to the clergy, the doctor, the dentist, the schoolmaster, the policeman, and all other ranks of comfort were lost on Stokes. He reckoned respect had to be earned over time. After the ending of the Great War, there appeared on the farms new small tractors and other labour-saving machinery. The hour of the motor mechanic had arrived. Stokes was in great demand. He was held in very high esteem with the hard-working farmers of Rush. His willingness to help at any hour and for a modest charge would never be forgotten. He was like many a good man in not knowing his own worth. From the depressing 1950s onward, most of the family would emigrate to find work. The definite book which catches the particular Irish emigratory misery of this period has yet to be written. In the 1960s, Stokes and his son would begin to build a garage business. Both would work, but neither was a businessman. Stokes didn't forget to remember all the funny and witty bits and pieces that happened during his career. One particular one was when Kathleen drove up to the petrol pumps, her nose tilted up, and she wound down the window and in a rather grand tone declared, "Mr. Kelly, I've got a whistle in my car." She was a fine-looking 40-year-old, young one, who had worked with them in a big city garage at one time. She was also a bit of a devil. Stokes looked down at her from over his glasses and from under his cap and replied, "Be Christ, Kathleen, you should cherish the memory of that whistle. It might be the last one you'll ever get." Sean was a bright young fella who, taking a year off studying, had a job in the garage. He was more an engineer than a motor mechanic. Sean was outside the garage with a 4-pound hammer in his hand when Stokes came along, having had a couple of pints. He called out to Sean, "What are you doing with that weapon?" Sean answered, "Mr. Kelly, that's not a weapon, it's an instrument." Stokes reached out and took the hammer from the lad and said, "Now it's an instrument." Rank had been restored. Another day, a worried farmer customer, Joe, from across the road, came into the garage. One of his cattle had jammed its head in a tubular steel gate. Without a word, Stokes handed the man a hacksaw. "What's this for?" he asked. Stokes replied, "It's to cut off his head." Above all else, Stokes was a natural motor mechanic, with a very keen eye, fabulous hands, a sharp memory. The complete engine overhaul was a study of Stokes at his best. The engine could be removed, dismantled, cleaned. A tray of paraffin, a brush and a scraper were used to reach a clean standard suitable for a hospital operating theatre. The new parts, the machine parts, would then be assembled. The locations would be found for the mass of screws, bolts, nuts, pins, washers. The valves would be ground in by hand, the new gaskets and seals fitted. The correct torque would be applied to all set screws. The oil gallery would be primed, the water pump, the oil pump, the distributor, the carburetor, and all other belongings would complete the shining unit. In older days, when the engine was fitted, a starting handle would be used to turn the engine and provide oil pressure before firing. The engine start and the fine-tuning at normal operating temperature would signal the job's end. Throughout the whole operation, Stokes would have an expression of calm intensity. He would be the same in the overhauling of a gearbox or a differential unit. It's a wonder that a man can be so expert without formal training. An old saying, good mechanics are born, not made. The reading diet of Stokes embraced the qualities of good and bad in mankind. The books of Zane Grey, Charles Alden Seltzer, Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, Alexandre Dumas, Jim Hatfield, and others, all being suitable for the uncomplicated mind, the mind of a person who lives for the moment. His legacy in passing is to have delighted so many, to be so fondly remembered, while having but one face for all. I was the son who flickered in my father's shadow. We never shared a pint, indeed never had a serious conversation. Perhaps we were too close for words. These few lines, penned, are but a thin slice of the man's life.